All right, welcome back into Jake's Takes. I'm your host, Jake Masucci, and today I got a special guest with me. I got my guy, Jonah Cerone, and
Excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you, Jonah. We got March Madness upon us,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes,
I am
sir.
so excited to get into that. But Jonah, we've grown up together for so long, and all we do is talk hoops. That's all we do. We talked about LeBron going to the finals. We talked about college basketball. We got into all of it. And
Yeah.
especially back in the day when I was all Michigan and you were all Iowa.
Right.
That's all we talk about
It
every
would
single
get
time.
heated at the lunch table from time to time for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you on. This is
Yep.
part 2 of the March Madness Extravaganza. I can't even say it. But I'm really excited to have you. Jonah, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit what you're doing now, how long you've been a basketball fan? Just fill the audience in.
So I think I started watching. Weirdly enough, I actually think I started watching the NBA before college basketball. I
Okay.
remember the first time I watched it, it was LeBron versus the Spurs,
Okay.
and then I got into college basketball and Iowa basketball probably around fifth grade.
Okay.
I've been playing basketball, Jake, just about my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. We had some good JV squads.
Yeah, man.
Shout out Coach Colin.
That was a blast. I'm a frequent listener of Jake's Takes, so I get some knowledge from there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Guess that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jonah and I have been close for a long time, and I was really excited to get him on this podcast. And trust me, his college basketball knowledge, very impressive. He knows what he's talking about, especially his Hawkeyes, and now he's at Xavier, so he's got to know both now, right? So, and both of your teams are in the tournament. So we got to discuss both your teams first. We're going to start with Iowa because that's where you grew up, and that's your team. So we talked about it a little bit in part 1 of the podcast, but fill us in on Iowa this year, how they're doing, how they're looking. They got they got Auburn first round. So fill us in a little bit about Iowa and their season so far.
Yeah. So they've had a typical Iowa year, a little in and out of the top 25. Their best player is Chris Murray. You probably know his brother Keegan Murray, who's an NBA star, or not star, sorry, but he was a high NBA draft pick.
He's been doing well. He's been doing great. He's on that path.
Yeah. So he's basically just a replica of his brother. Then we got the McCaffrey brothers. They're sons of the head coach Coach McCaffrey.
Yep.
I think Jake knows in the past I haven't always been a fan of them.
Yeah.
Especially when they were starting over Keegan Murray when Iowa was a top 5 team in the country. I could have had a lot better season. We didn't have the future player of the year on the bench there, the coach's kid. But they're both older now and they're looking good. They got to guard Perkins. He's dangerous. And then sort of just like the general themes of Iowa basketball. It's funny because it's like the exact opposite of Iowa football. But it's great offense and terrible defense. So their offense is fun to watch. I think they're like a top 5, definitely top 10 offense this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've been probably an elite offense for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
One thing they do amazingly well is like most teams will outlet the ball to the 3-point line. When you watch Iowa play, their first pass is nearly to half court every time. Yeah. So they're just out on teams like that.
Yeah.
Again, their defense, I was looking at some stats earlier today. I think they're around like 155th.
Oh, sheesh.
In the country.
So the defense falls off a little bit.
Right. So I think they'll beat Auburn first round.
Okay.
And because of their offense, you can't count them out against Houston. But if there's one thing anyone knows about Iowa basketball, it's that they never make it to the Sweet 16. So I don't see them pulling it off against Houston, unfortunately. I think that's where the right ends for the Hawks this year. A typical Iowa year.
Okay.
But yeah, they're a good team this year.
Okay. Yeah. To add on a little bit, like the 3-point shooting in Iowa is ridiculous. Absolutely, really, really ridiculous. Like Chris Murray has looked really good this year, and they got shooters all over the place all the time. Like when you're looking at Iowa, it's 3-pointers are coming up, and they had some good wins this year. Like I talked about it when we were talking about Indiana in part 1. They beat Indiana by 40 points at Indiana. And this was right after they played Purdue. like, and beat them pretty handily, like controlled the game. It's
Right.
like you just don't know with Iowa because they can just be
They're
so
inconsistent.
on where it's
I think
tough.
I think this year they had like the biggest against the spread loss ever. They were like
That's
favored by
insane.
over 30 and they lost by like 10
I
or
think
something.
I remember that. It was
Yeah.
early in the season.
That
But,
was early, but
yeah.
they're inconsistent to say the least.
Yeah, no, inconsistent to say the least. Some of their big games, they actually beat Iowa State by 19, which now looks really good because
I
Iowa
will
State,
say
yeah, they're good.
I will say they came out red hot that game. Like I will say it was a little bit of luck. They could not. I think they just went up legit by like 15 points, like 15-0 to start the game. It was crazy.
Sheesh. Yeah,
But it was a little bit lucky there, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like we were saying, like they can just get really hot,
Right.
and it's tough. I mean, they had a good win against Maryland. They beat them by 14.
Yeah.
They went 1-1 against Michigan State, and like we were saying, like they're good. They're really good. Another out of conference game. They actually lost to TCU, but TCU's turned out to be really good also.
Yep.
So like with Iowa, like it's 100% a possibility. This game with Auburn is so hard because, like I was talking about earlier, you got Wendell Green Jr. on the other side. Monster. Right. He's from Michigan area. He was a really good high school player over here, and he's been unbelievable at Auburn. And then I think it was Katie Johnson. I might be saying his name right. I don't know, but I talked about him on part 1, and the guy's ridiculous. Like he brings so much energy to the floor. Really good defensive guard, and he's just strong. He's burly, strong. He was a really big piece in their team last year, and he's back, and he's been great. And with Auburn, like you lose guys like Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith, and those are big losses. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a really interesting game, and I think it just comes back to your point where if I was hidden, it's just a difficult team to not pick. Right. And if you want to ride Big Ten, like why not?
I'll get into what I think about that later, but I do think Iowa will win. Will win round 1. Okay. And I think the round 2 matchup against Houston, I don't think they'll win it, but I think that's going to be must watch TV, especially if Iowa gets hot. Okay.
Yeah, if Iowa gets hot, like again, they can compete with anybody. Yeah. Like it'll be really interesting. All right, let's get to Xavier. So Xavier's had a really good year this year. Sitting at a 3 spot in the same region, the Midwest region. And they're playing Kennesaw State first. We don't have to get too far into it. I think some people like Kennesaw State as a little upset. I don't personally. I mean, I know they've had a solid year and they're a good team, but like I don't think Xavier's fallen early this year. But tell me,
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Tell me some of your thoughts.
One thing I'll say about that is we talked about Iowa being inconsistent. Xavier isn't inconsistent to the level Iowa is, but they did blow games this year to Butler and to Paul. Yeah. Neither of who are like competent teams, like worst teams in the Big East. And that cost them like the Big East regular season championship. Yeah. So they do know how to blow a game. I will say that. But but I mean, I like their team a lot. They're a good team. Jones and Boom, those are special guards. Yeah. Jones is supposed to be a first-round draft pick this year.
Colby Jones is skyrocketing draft boards. Everybody loves him, and this is really a guy to look out for because he's been playing out of his mind too. But continue, yes.
He's a great player, but really the leader of our team is Boom. Mm-hmm. That's a guy. If Xavier makes a run, you're gonna be hearing his name. He's the clutchest player on the team, no doubt. When it's clutch time, you want the ball in Boom's hands 10 times out of 10 over Jones. He hits shots in the clutch. He does not miss free throws. He's a passer. He's a playmaker. He creates shots for teammates. And he gets points too. I think he's averaging about 16, 17 right now. He was shut down for the first time all year against Marquette. But that was like his 3rd straight game. I heard he was a little under the weather. Okay. It's all excuses, I guess, but he's a special player. I think he could do big things. They got a guy named Kunkel. He's a knockdown 3-point shooter. They got a freshman named Claude.
Claude.
He's a young
Okay.
Colby Jones.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think you'll hear him too much in March, but next year, I think he has the potential to be better than Colby Jones next year.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
special.
That is high praise. That's high praise right there. Because Colby Jones is playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah.
So that's high praise. That's very high praise. Xavier's been dealing with some injuries, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of injuries.
Yeah. So their second leading scorer, Fremantle, he's out for the season.
Yeah.
I think he's averaging like 15, which is a lot to lose in college basketball.
He's a big player to lose. Yeah, but continue.
Yeah, so before he went down, I think Xavier was like a top 5 offense, which I don't think they are anymore. But he wasn't the thing that doesn't work. The thing about him that makes you not worry too much is he was not a good defender.
Okay.
And the guy that's replacing him, Jerome Hunter, elite defender. Which, honestly, in my opinion, is what Xavier needs. It needed more defense. So their offense has taken a hit, but I think their defense has taken almost as much as a gain.
Okay.
The only loss is on their depth. Now they're down to only playing about 7 guys confidently, which hurts. So that's where the loss is there on depth. But I think the 15 points a game doesn't hurt as much as you would think.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's really like good to know, because like a lot of people will be like, oh, they lost their second leading scorer. Like, I'm going to have them lose early. And to be honest with you, I still have them losing early. Like, I don't love their matchup with Iowa State. I think Iowa State's really good and been playing hard. They were one of my upset picks in the first part of the show. And like, Iowa State looked really good in the Big 12 tournament. And I just don't know if it's a great matchup for the Xavier team. Yeah. But, you know, like, Xavier's interesting. Like, they're a really interesting team because we don't know what we'll see without Fremantle. And, you know, I wanted to be all in on them. I picked them in my conference tournament pick them to win their conference tournament. That's why I was like super hyped that they were in the championship. And then they got smoked by Marquette. So, you know, it's just really interesting stuff. You don't know with Xavier. How far you see them kind of going in this tournament?
We'll save that talk for the Final Four talk, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that. All right. We're going to move on. Let's get to some upsets.
Let's do it.
Okay?
Let's do it.
I had you and Asher give me some big upsets, and I want to talk about these games. So give me your number one upset that you want to talk about.
Number one upset I want to talk about. All right. I'm going to go with my top 2 upset teams. Can I do that?
Okay.
So,
I'm in.
My number one upset team, I got Charleston going to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
I won't go too much into them because I know you covered that with Asher.
Yep.
But they got about 6 guys averaging 10 points. They're hot right now. They're just a great team, and then they're going to be playing a banged-up Virginia team in the Sweet 16, which I think favors them.
Okay.
In the round of 32.
Okay.
And then my second big upset team in round 1 is Kent State versus Indiana.
Okay.
Kent State, they played some good games. They lost to Houston only by 5.
Okay.
Only lost to Gonzaga by 7. So they can hang with the big dogs. And to be honest, I'm a Big Ten hater.
Okay. I want to hear this. What's up with the Big Ten for you?
I'm not going to pretend there's a ton of logic behind it, as in what I've studied this year. But I just know year after year, I always overrate the Big Ten in March, and they kill my bracket every year. So this year I went in with the philosophy, I'm just betting against the Big Ten.
Okay.
In almost every situation.
Okay.
And I see Kent State as an upset team. They're playing a Big Ten school. I'm going Kent State.
Okay. I like that. It brings a different opinion into the podcast because part 1, we had Asher and I, we both went with Indiana. We were like, everybody's on the Kent State train, and we were like, oh, Indiana. I like this. I like seeing I mean, and Kent State, they're the perfect team for it. I get it 100%. These guys rolled through the MAC. They were unbelievable. They had a great game against Toledo to win the MAC championship. And they're a fantastic defensive team, it's difficult. It's going to be really interesting to see. And Indiana's been up and down. Like, we haven't seen we haven't seen a consistent Indiana team. So I like that. I'm really excited to see that game, especially because I want to see Kent State. Like, I want to see if they're for real. They have really good big play, and that'll be exciting. And I love Charleston. I'm all in with you there. That was one of the teams we covered part one, and gosh, they're good, man. They can really shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
I'm excited for them. I like that. I'm riding with you with Charleston there. We were talking about a couple others that I wanted to discuss.
Sure.
You liked Oral Roberts. Tell me a little bit about that one a little bit.
Yeah. They're a good team, man.
Okay.
They brought in a number of guys from the portal. They brought in a Vanderbilt guard who's, I think, averaging close to 20 this year. He's having a season. They brought in a 7'5" center who's just an elite rim protector.
He's been
as you probably assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they got those two guys. They're on the longest win streak in the country.
Yep.
Ridiculously long win streak. I don't see him pulling it out, however.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if they were playing any other 5 seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're playing Duke, who's also one of the hottest teams in the country.
Yeah.
They just won the ACC.
Yeah.
And it's Duke.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to play a hot Duke sitting at a 5 seed. That's just incredibly unfortunate for Oral Roberts.
I know.
Yeah, what are you seeing on that one?
I mean, with that one, it's really interesting because, like, you were talking about with Oral Roberts, they got Max A-Smith, who's unbelievable, ridiculous scorer and guard, like, unreal. And the 7'5" big is incredible. The guy can shoot too. Like, he could do whatever you want. He's a great pick and popper. It's like, it's tough to stop. And then you look at Duke and you're like, they've put it together. You know, they had three top 10 recruits. Derek Lively, Dariq Whitehead, and Kyle Flipikowski. And they're all really showing up. Like, they've turned it around from the beginning of the year where you're like, is Duke going to be for real? And now they're for real. Like, they've figured it out. They rolled through the ACC tournament, and, it looked really good. But the thing that it also reminds me of, and I mentioned this to you last year, it reminds me a little bit of Iowa from last year.
That's a good point.
Rolled through the Big Ten, looked really good, insane, and then they got an interesting matchup in Richmond. And everybody was like, "Oh, Iowa Final Four." Everybody
you called it.
Duke Final Four. And last year I was like, Richmond. They're winning.
I gave you so much crap for that. Yeah.
Yeah, you gave me so much crap, and I knew Richmond would come out in that game. But that was also because I watched them and I liked them. But like this year, my gut tells me just stick with Duke because like it's a blue blood, and I don't know. I mean, now I feel like I'm talking myself out of it. But Duke, man, like I don't know. Like it's hard to bet against a team that has 3 top 10 recruits compared to an Iowa team where they can be on or off, and Iowa's been that way for the past like 5 years. So like that's where it's like, okay, I'd rather pick Duke. But Oral Roberts, like if you want to pick them as an upset team, it's 100% a great pick because they're awesome. Yeah. They're flat out awesome. All right. Yeah. Let's get to
Can I bounce one more thing?
No. Go ahead.
Talking about talented teams at 2 low seeds, look at Creighton as a potential upset team.
Yeah.
They have a hard matchup against NC State first round. NC State, they've lost a decent number of games, but they're almost all within 10 to top teams. They've lost to Duke, Syracuse, Miami, Pitt, and Kansas, all by under 10.
Okay.
So they're a good team, but this Creighton team, man, they're preseason top 10.
Yeah.
They're one of arguably a top 3 talented team in the country.
Yeah.
I've heard people throw out that they're one of the most talented team in the country. I don't know if I buy that, but people say it.
Yep.
So they're extremely talented, and their losses come from when their best player was injured.
Yeah.
One of their best players. So now they're fully healthy. They're coming in at a 6th seed. I think they win round 1. They get Baylor round 2 most likely. Yep. I think they win that.
Yeah.
And then they'll be playing an Arizona team who I love. So I'm not going to pick against Arizona, but they're dangerous. They can make a run to the Elite Eight, no doubt.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. That's exactly what I had in my bracket. I love Ryan Nembhard. so much.
Yeah.
He is such a great guard. And like Creighton, 100%. We talked about it early in the season. Like this team's going to be scary. And they had some weird losses at the beginning of the year, and they had some injuries, like you were saying.
Yeah.
They're figuring it out now. They're like Duke. They're
They
scary.
won 14 of their last 18.
Yeah, that's scary. That's
scary.
100% scary. And I love that. I love that. Creighton's another 6 seed. That's scary. Those 6 seeds to me are scary. Like I like Iowa State. I like Creighton. Yep. Those are both two teams that can really make a run at it that are just difficult. Creighton's especially difficult to match up with. And I get what you're saying about NC State. I still like Creighton.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
What do you see? What are you thinking in the Creighton Arizona matchup?
That would be really interesting because, like Creighton, you love the players there, Nemhard especially, and Arizona. They got great bigs, and I love Tommy Lloyd. And I talked about this a little bit when I predicted my Final Four in Part 1, but that matchup really was tough for me. I went with Arizona, just like you. I had to stick with – I love Tommy Lloyd. He's one of my favorite coaches in college basketball. I love him. I had to just stick with Zona there, but to me, that's a toss-up. Yeah. Like, Creighton's really good. And, like Asher and I talked about it, and Asher loves Baylor. So, like, Baylor's a tough matchup too, They got a great coach in Scott Drew, and they got defensive players and great guards. Like, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And, I'm interested to see how far Creighton will go. The Big East is good this year, man. It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. No, I bet heavy on the Big East this year, I think. Yeah. As we've already seen, we'll continue to see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, speaking of
Big East. I'm betting against the Big Ten this year.
Okay.
Betting for the Big East.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of Big East, let's talk Providence. Because we were talking a little bit before, and you love Providence. So kind of cue the listeners in and tell us what's so special about Providence in this tournament.
Man, I'd say I don't know too many stats about their team or even the players because I didn't feel like I need to research them at all.
Yeah.
I think any Big East fan would tell you they're almost every bit as good as Xavier and Marquette. They're right there. Going into the tournament, I don't think any Big East fan would have been surprised if Providence won it. So the fact we got Marquette at, what are they, a 2 seed, 3 seed? I think 2 seed.
Yeah, 2 seed, yep.
The fact we got Marquette at a 2 seed and Providence, who is really about the same level at, I think, an 11 seed, that's crazy. They're I wouldn't be surprised if Providence made a Final Four run.
Okay.
I'm not predicting that. But they're a team that has that talent at an 11 seed, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So, that's just an unfortunate matchup for anyone who catches them at an 11 for sure.
Yeah, Looking at some of their top games, they beat UConn once and lost them twice. And then they won and lost to Marquette, and then won and lost to Creighton. And Xavier actually beat them twice. And close they have games. Close games. They had some tough losses out of conference, lost to TCU and Miami. But again, those are 2 really good teams. I love Miami coming out. I talked about it a little bit part 1. And then TCU's tough. They're tough. I think the Big 12 is probably the best conference right now. And TCU, the Big 12 is stacked, dude. Absolutely stacked. And TCU.
I haven't watched a lot of them this year, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of stacked teams there. Like Iowa State, really talented. We could throw Baylor right there, 3 seed. You could throw Kansas. There's some ridiculous.
Yeah, what are you thinking about Kansas this year?
Kansas? Looking at my bracket, I feel like they have a tough matchup second round. I do.
Really?
And that's Arkansas.
Arkansas? Yeah, okay.
Arkansas is really tough for them. And my buddy Gus Simon will love that because he was all in on Arkansas last year.
Really? Okay.
I love Eric Musselman, fantastic coach. And Anthony Black is getting a lot of NBA buzz. He's 9th right now in prospects. He's 6'8" point guard, really talented.
Yeah.
And Arkansas, they always have these wings that just defend their ass off. Like, it's insane. They play so hard and are just ridiculously talented. I love Arkansas in that matchup. It's really difficult. If Kansas squeaks by, then they got UConn.
I think they've the hardest path of a 1 seed. I'm with you.
Yeah. I think them and Purdue, because Purdue's really tough too. Purdue would have to go through. Let me look at Memphis or FAU, and Memphis is really tough. We talked about that a little part 1 with Kendrick Davis. They're tough. They're really tough. And then
you're taking Memphis over FAU.
I'm taking Memphis over FAU.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and Memphis is just tough, dude. Like Kendrick Davis and a lot of guys that are really good. And like I'm just nervous about that matchup with Purdue. You know, it'll be really interesting there. Yeah. And Purdue with their young guards, it's just tough for me, you know. And then getting back to Arkansas, Kansas, like, again, it's the wing depth and stuff like that. It just really scares me. And, you know, I think Kansas is really good. Jalen Wilson's a monster. Grady Dick's really good. Right. But, you know, I just don't love it. I think Eric Musselman, fantastic coach, be able to get the job done there.
Yeah. I know Kansas's coach has had some problems recently, too.
Yeah,
I heard he got out of the hospital like this week. Which
he got out of the hospital. Yeah, he got out of the hospital this week, and he'll be back for the tournament, which is good news. Yeah, really good news.
Yeah, that's good news. But, that could hurt him for sure.
It could, 100%.
Preparation-wise and whatever.
100%. All right, getting back to the Big East. We're kind of jumping around, which I love. We're getting into some good discussion. Yeah, but let's get to Marquette. Okay, we were talking a little pre-show, and I mean, I don't love Marquette, but Asher told me, which was really interesting. One of his contacts at Marquette, it was a former assistant at Michigan who's now there. They were saying that they're hearing all the noise of like not getting recognized, and they're looking at a banner. Okay. They're pumped. So I want to hear about Marquette. Kind of, you've been watching Big East a lot. So tell me a little bit about them. And should we take them for real? Like, what's going on here?
Definitely take them for real.
Okay.
This was something I learned the hard way. I was sleeping on them, honestly, until the Big East tournament.
Okay.
I thought they were overrated. I thought Providence and Xavier were right there with them. And they completely separated themselves in the tournament. They ran through the tournament. They beat Xavier by like 15 in the championship. Honestly, could have been 30 if you watched the game.
Sheesh.
They have an amazing coach in Shaka Smart.
Yeah.
I think he completely outcoached Sean Miller in the championship game. Had a game plan to shut down Boom. I mean, just perfect game plan for Xavier. Mm-hmm. I think him as a coach is going to come in clutch in the tournament. They have an incredible defense. I mean, Xavier's one of the better offensive teams in the country. When they were playing Marquette just makes the court look small. Like, there's just nowhere to go. Yeah. You don't see guys driving gaps. You don't see any of that. Mm-hmm. They just have incredible team defense. They'll throw up different looks. They'll throw in a press. They'll throw in a zone.
Yeah.
They got elite man-to-man defense. And then they're led by a guy named Tyler Kolek. I think by the end of this tournament, he's going to be a household name.
Okay.
I honestly do.
Okay.
He's special, man. Mm-hmm. He's a good defender, and the stuff he does in offense is impressive. He just wiggles by guys. He plays strong. He's got a good finish. He can shoot the three. If they make a run, you're going to be hearing his name for sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. A lot of my early brackets, I didn't know what to make of them. And I was just like, you know, they got Michigan State second round, and we talked about it for a long time. And that's just a really interesting matchup because State's on and off. Like, all these Big Ten teams are on and off, which is really frustrating to me. You know, it's really frustrating. It's frustrating to pick. So, you know, like, that's a really interesting matchup. And then they could have Providence in the Sweet 16 if Providence makes a run, or they could have Kansas State.
I think they will.
Yeah. Right. And like, that could be advantage Providence because they've seen him so many times, or it could be advantage Marquette. Like, we don't know there, you know? And then they also could hit Duke, who is trouble. Duke or Purdue. I mean,
Right.
like, I think we can both agree Tennessee is probably not going to make it out
I'm not seeing that.
yeah, and I mean it just stinks because I love Tennessee preseason, and without Ziegler, they're just not the same team. They're not the same team, and it's kind of sad to see because I love Tennessee and Louisiana. Though they're good, they're really good. Which that's one of the upsets I didn't really talk about part one. That
I haven't heard much about that.
Yeah, no, Louisiana's good. I would watch out for that one 100%.
Okay.
But yeah, no, other than that, like I really think Marquette, Providence, that region, other than Duke, they could get out of, you know. Like, it's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah,
really interesting.
I love if they get state second round. That's gonna be a fun game.
That'd be really fun.
That's gonna be a great game to watch.
I know, 100%. All right, let's get to our picks. Okay. I picked my Final Four on the show. I'm gonna let you pick your Final Four. Get even with me. What do you got for Final Four?
All right, let's start it with Alabama.
Okay.
I hate to say it, I'm not an Alabama guy. I was pumped when they sucked in football. I hate to see them be great in basketball. They're a team I don't know a lot about, but I know I hate them. And I just every week you just see another Alabama win. Like they're just a team that gets the job done at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They've had all this controversy all year. Their best player has been in a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
And he still just gets buckets. He doesn't care. The team doesn't care. I think they like
He's a monster.
I think they like it.
Yeah. It's insane.
I think they've started to embrace the bad guy role and they just win games.
Yeah.
So I got them in the Final Four. I think their hard game will be against Arizona. I think Arizona will give them a game.
Yeah.
So I got them in the Final Four facing Marquette.
Okay.
I think Marquette runs the table in their division, gets to the Final Four.
Okay.
We talked about it earlier. They got elite defense, great coaching, some star players. I think they have the making of a Final Four team, no doubt. Then I got Houston in the Final Four.
Okay.
I think they have one of the easier paths of a 1 seed.
Yeah.
At least the way I picked my bracket, I would say they did.
Yeah.
They do. I think they're just a good all-around team, right? I think they'll make the Final Four. Maybe a little bit of bias here, but I think they're going to be playing Xavier.
Okay.
It's bold. But I believe
it is kind of bold.
Yeah, it is. It is. I believe in the fellas. Boom's just a clutch player, dude. He gets the job done. I'm going to love to see him playing in March on a big-time team. I think he's going to be playing this March for a spot in the NBA. If he really does his stuff. Yeah. He's got that on his mind. Great coach in Sean Miller. I think that'll help him in the tournament.
Okay. I like that. That. And then give me your finals. Give me your prediction right here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm realizing now I screwed up. I picked Xavier over Houston. So Xavier's in the Final Four, not Houston.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You're good. So who do you got out of the West then?
So my finals is going to be Alabama versus Gonzaga.
Okay, Alabama, Gonzaga.
So Gonzaga is the team
Gonzaga would be out of the West. I got you.
Yes.
So you'd have Gonzaga over Xavier. There it is.
Yes, sir. Sir.
All right.
So I'm not a huge Gonzaga guy, but I think they just have the right lineup. They're going to be playing 2 seed in UCLA, who I think they've been dealing with injuries, right?
Yep. They've been.
I think they lost. Yeah, they lost a starter. I want to say he's averaging 13 points.
Yeah, I think it's Bernard. I'm not positive on the name, but yeah.
I think Jalen Clark is who it is.
Jalen Clark, that's who it was.
He's averaging 13.
I don't know who I was thinking of.
13. He's the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Together, that's a massive loss.
Massive.
Right. So I think they get past UCLA. I think they get past Kansas, make it to the Final Four. Because I haven't played Xavier, I think if they are playing Xavier, they'll make it to the championship.
Okay.
So maybe I screwed myself by taking Xavier to the Final Four. But yeah, I got Alabama and Gonzaga in the championship, and I think Alabama gets the job done again.
Okay. All right. All
What do you
right.
got?
So I said on part one, my final four was Alabama
Mm-hmm.
versus Duke,
Okay.
and then Houston versus UConn.
Mm.
That's my final four.
Mm.
So here are predictions. You ready?
Let's do
I
it.
got Duke over Alabama.
Really?
I think
Duke. Okay.
I think at that time, Alabama's just not shooting well. They finally get their shots off. They've had a game every year where their shots don't fall. Oklahoma, they lost by 35 points at Oklahoma because they couldn't hit a shot. It happens. Okay. That's why I was a little scared to put them in my final four in general. But
Really?
I just was like, I don't see anybody else beating them. Arizona was tough. I love Arizona, but I don't love Arizona enough because last year I was all in on Arizona and that didn't help me at all.
Right.
So this year I'm sticking with Duke over Bama. I'm putting Bama in my final four there. Then my other game, Houston, UConn. I think this is tough. I think this will be a very tough game for Houston to squeak out of. A lot of athletes on the floor in this game. UConn's got a couple of guys that are getting some draft buzz, and Houston's got Jarris Walker, who's near the top of draft boards. He's unbelievable. And they also, this is all if Marcus Sasser is good. Like if Marcus Sasser is good, like Houston's the best team in basketball, in my opinion, 100%. So I'm taking Houston in that game. I just think Kelvin, I think it's Sampson? What? Kelvin Sampson. Kelvin Sampson, the coach. Yeah, I got it. All right. He is coaching at a different level right now. I think he's the best coach in college basketball. He's been doing a great job with the team. Like Houston's unbelievable. One of easily, in my opinion, the best. And that's why I have them as my champion over Duke. I think it would be a really close game. I have the score being 65-60. Really tough, grinded out game.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited.
Yeah. No, those are some fun picks. I like that.
I know. I'm excited. That's going to wrap it up, man. That's going to wrap it up.
I like it. That was fun, man. That was fun.
Yeah, no, time flew. Time flew in this one.
Yeah, dude.
But that's going to wrap up part 2 of the March Madness Extravaganza. I'd like to thank Jonah Cerone for joining me on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, that's going to wrap it up. Hopefully Jonah can join me again soon. Be great. Anyways,
I love doing some Big Ten football talk.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to get a football one going soon. It should be interesting. All right. Well, like, subscribe, do whatever you got to do for the podcast. And I will see you all next time. Peace.